obviously the news is it was heartbreaking for what a player he is, the guy he is, and just know, she's praying for Bo. I know he's going to bounce back. He's a great player in this league, and look forward to matching up with him. We had one in college, and he got the best of me, so I know he'll bounce back. But they got a good team, and it should be a tough one next week.
Championship Sunday is set. Adam Schefter here to set the tone. Schefter, the tone in Denver, downtrodden after Bo Nix's injury. What is the quarterback plan now for Denver going forward? Home underdogs now welcoming the Patriots to town.
Prohibitive home underdogs, and they are going to start Jarrett Stidham, the former Patriots fourth-round pick in 1999, against the team that drafted him. He once was drafted to potentially be the successor to Tom Brady, which certainly Drake May has taken over that title. Jarrett Stidham will wind up starting on Sunday, and it will be the second time in NFL history that a quarterback has made his first start of the season in a conference championship game. The only other time it has happened in NFL history was 1972 when Roger Staubach started against the Washington Redskins after Craig Morton struggled in the divisional playoff game. No quarterback ever has started fewer NFL games, for Jarrett Stidham, who has gone on to start the conference championship game. Obviously, all sorts of statistical oddities, and the Denver Broncos have to find their way to the Super Bowl. Who would have thought with Jarrett Stidham at quarterback?
All right. Meanwhile, the offseason very much in focus for teams who are looking for coaches, Adam. So where do searches stand here across the league, starting with the Ravens?
Well, they interviewed Robert Saleh, the 49ers defensive coordinator, yesterday. They have had a very thorough search. Robert Saleh has been a man who has been very busy, and obviously Baltimore was impressed with Saleh, but they interviewed, I believe, 14 people in their initial round of interviews, and they have been slow and methodical in trying to come to a decision in Baltimore. Robert Saleh actually wound up being called into Tennessee today, where he's competing with Jeff Hafley and Matt Nagy for the Titans head coach vacancy. Those seem to be right now the three finalists for the Titans head coaching job, and they will, it seems, come to a decision here some point early this week amongst those three men. The Cleveland Browns have requested second interviews with Grant Udinsky, the Jaguars offensive coordinator, who, if he were to get a job, would become the youngest NFL head coach ever hired in history. He just turned 30 recently. They also requested a second interview with Rams passing game coordinator Nate Scheelhaus. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have arranged an interview with Mike McCarthy, the former Pittsburgh Steelers, or former Green Bay Packers and Dallas Cowboys head coach. McCarthy is from Pittsburgh, loves Pittsburgh, and this would not be a typical Pittsburgh hire. But his roots are so strong and his resume so successful that the Steelers are looking at Mike McCarthy as a potential option there in Pittsburgh. We'll see how the interview process unfolds with the Steelers.
Steelers have only had three head coaches since the moon landing in 1969. It's not even a joke, just facts. Adam Schefter with the very latest. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Especially in a year when the Ravens fired John Harbaugh. We have the Bills 8-8, 500 under McDermott in the playoffs. What can you share about his future in Buffalo?
Well, I think that's it, Hannah. Anytime you see a team change a head coach like Baltimore did with John Harbaugh after 18 years, people are going to ask the question, anytime any coach struggles to get over the hump. And here's a team that has struggled to get over the hump with Sean McDermott, who's been one of the best coaches in the game, who still has 2 years left on his contract. There's been no indication from the Bills at all that they'd be willing to make a change. But in a season where we've seen teams make changes that weren't necessarily expected, anything is always possible in the National Football League. But again, Sean McDermott had this team within a field goal of reaching the AFC Championship game. A lot of people thought this would be the year for Josh Allen without Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson in the postseason. But alas, it's not. And that means there are going to be questions that come up like the one that you just asked me just now.
Listen, in a fan base so desperate to get to a Super Bowl, much less win one, something they haven't done with Josh Allen. Speaking of desperate teams, the New York Giants finally have their man. I understand all the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed with the Giants. So if you could start the coaching news there with John Harbaugh, what did he tell you about this new chapter in his career?
Well, he's excited to work with the Maras and Tisches, who own the New York Giants, and he should be, because he'll be reporting directly to them. And that was part of the hang-up with the language in the contract, that he would be reporting to the owners. A lot of people view him in a separate category and bucket than the Giants general manager, Joe Schoen, but Harbaugh gets done a 5-year deal worth in the vicinity of roughly $100 million. And while Bo Nix was being ruled out for the year last night, the Falcons finalized their deal to hire the former Browns head coach, Kevin Stefanski. They flew him into Atlanta yesterday, wasted no time in trying to get a deal done, and now Kevin Stefanski becomes the second head coach hired in this cycle. And about that same time as well, the Green Bay Packers finalized an extension with Matt LaFleur. The two sides have been talking throughout the week. There have been questions that have been raised in Green Bay in previous weeks about his future. The Packers had some questions. The two sides met this week. LaFleur gets his extension, and there should be extensions forthcoming here in the very near future for the Packers general manager, Brian Gutekunst, their executive, Russ Ball, as well. So they are essentially running it back with the people that they had in place. The Packers president, Ed Policy, making some of the first significant decisions of his presidency there in Green Bay.
Yeah, listen, I mean, Green Bay is nothing if not steady, right? With their head coaches, their quarterbacks. This is kind of follows their MO. We look forward to seeing you on Countdown.
Now, Sean Payton saying Bo Nix fractured his ankle on this play. A design run in overtime. He's tackled, suffers the injury, stays in for the rest of the drive that ends with a game-winning field goal. Now, including the playoffs, Nix started each of his first 36 NFL games, but now he will be a spectator as the Broncos look to get to the Super Bowl. Hannah?
Adam Schefter joins us now. It was so crazy. Bo Nix is on the field doing his game-winning interview with Tracy, right? And then we hear about an hour later that he's set to undergo surgery on Tuesday instead of getting ready to start the AFC Championship. Schefty, what's been the reaction to this shocker?
There's never been a situation quite like this in the history of the National Football League, Hannah, where a number one seed wins a divisional playoff game at home to set up a home game to get to the Super Bowl, and it loses its quarterback, starting quarterback, after the game when people don't even realize. Sean Payton held an initial press conference that wrapped up only to come back into the press conference room to deliver the news that Bo Nix had fractured his ankle and will undergo season-ending surgery. It was one of those stories that when people heard about it, they didn't believe it. All of a sudden, people are calling me, texting me, is that real on Bo Nix? Yes, that is real. That is tragic. That is something that we haven't seen before, where a team loses a quarterback in this particular situation. Philadelphia lost Carson Wentz, but that was during the regular season when Nick Foles had to step in. We've seen the New York Giants lose Phil Simms, and Jeff Hostetler had to step in. But there's never been a quarterback in this situation where next week, Jarrett Stidham, the Denver Broncos' new starting quarterback, will throw his first pass of the season in the AFC Championship game, potentially against his former New England Patriots team, unless the Texans can win today, and it would be Houston.
So, paint this picture for us, because Stidham, he's going to start in this all-important game against either the Texans or the Patriots. He's only taken 4 snaps this season. As you mentioned, he hasn't had a pass attempt. So what more can you tell us about this scenario? Can you paint the picture for us?
Well, first of all, Jarrett Stidham is somebody that was a 4th-round draft pick of the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick drafted him to potentially succeed Tom Brady in New England. And the Patriots offensive coordinator at the time, Josh McDaniels, liked Stidham enough that he signed him in Las Vegas. And when the Raiders benched Derek Carr, they did so in part to protect themselves against his money, but also because they wanted to get a look at Jarrett Stidham, who in his first game as the Raiders starter threw for 365 yards and 3 touchdowns against a 49ers defense that year went on to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. So I know people think backup quarterback, hasn't played, incapable. That's not how Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos think. Ideally, you want Bo Nix, who's been such a tremendous success for that franchise, to start this game, but that's not going to happen. but they have great faith in Jarrett Stidham. They believe he can get the job done. And as one Broncos official texted me last night, we need him to be our Nick Foles.
Yeah, exactly. Super Bowl winner for Philly, but he hasn't started a game in 2 years. He's either going to face the NFL's best defense in the Texans or a Patriots defense that sacked Justin Herbert 5 times last week. So it won't be an easy task. And that banner crossing the iPhone last night with your tweet was about as shocking a one as